I just want to thank everybody for raising their hand and participating in Global Entrepreneurship Week.
Hey everyone, happy Saturday and good morning. We are back here in the Westside Community Incubator. My name is Elias, and today we're joined by Eddie Rivera. Eddie, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for the kind invitation.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Great to see you also.
Great to see you as well. You know, I was talking to Steven the other day, and we were just reflecting on what a magnificent Promise Startups conference we hosted last year summer with you. And you did that great workshop with everybody standing up. We had an incredible series of conversations, and I remember seeing people in the audience crying that day. I mean, you touched a lot of lives that day, and I think you also had a lot of follow-up with some of the entrepreneurs
I
from that
certainly
day.
did, yes.
That's great.
That was fantastic.
Eddie, if you could, for folks who don't know you, could you do a quick introduction about your work and your experience?
Absolutely. I'm currently the executive coach for the master program at the Greenspan College of Public Policy and Leadership, and it's called Urban Leadership. So the students that are doing their master's degree in urban leadership that want to impact the community, that's the group that I work with. So I'm the executive coach, and I also get to teach a class in the summer on nurturing and developing teams.
Great.
Is the name of the course. So,
how long have you been teaching at UNLV now?
Well, I started with this particular college in 2022, but I've been associated with UNLV since 2010.
Okay, amazing.
So, what, 15 years?
Yes.
Yeah,
so you got
15 years association.
To see a lot of students come through those classrooms, students who are probably now movers and shakers around this town and nation.
Absolutely. I started with Hotel College initially as a guest speaker, and then I transitioned to the Lee Business School. And I was the executive coach for the MBA program since 2017. And I'm still doing orientation for the MBA program.
That's great. Yeah. And you were also studying yourself, right? Is it getting a doctorate?
I am actually in the process of working on completing my PhD in psychology.
That's really incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely want to have some conversations with you on psychology, but let's talk about where we're at right now, 2025, 2026. We're at the end of the year. It's natural to be reflective.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're doing this series, is to reflect on the wins and lessons of 2025. And so let's go into that. Anything that happened this year that gives you a moment of pause for celebration or reflection?
Absolutely. And I'm not only work at the university, but I'm an executive coach. Yeah. So I have a lot of clients on this side as well. And just to see the trajectory of all these individuals that I have the privilege to coach or mentor in some way or fashion, it's significant, because you can tell the level of desire for growth and development and knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And they're thirsty for more. And so organizations like this one and so many others have this great opportunity. So when I reflect on 2025, and even prior to that, it's been this constant desire from a lot of people to increase their knowledge, but also to grow, and at the same time to become better at what they do, and to have the opportunity to see them really moving in that trajectory, in that direction, either professionally or personally or academically.
Yeah.
I think that's a big win in 2025, and the projections for 2026 are as good, if not better.
Yeah, no, there's a common thread that you said amongst those students, right? It's a willingness, or even you said a thirst to do better, to maybe to be the best, to do something impactful, to absorb tons of knowledge. What are some of the things that you've seen? Like, how do students get there? I know you're coaching students in the MBA program. These are graduate students, right? And so they've gone through a journey to get to this point now where they now desire to be the best. They desire to get more information. What are some of the things you could share for other students to find that thirst for themselves?
Yeah, I think there's instinct desire to be better, right? But they need clarity, and so wanting is it's not enough. It's just what are the next steps that I need to take? And a lot of the students, and a lot of my clients as well, a lot of the students in the Greenspan College in the public policy sector, their desire is that they want to impact community, they want to impact policy.
Yeah.
And they see the current state of affairs and whatnot. It's what is my part, what kind of contribution can I make? And that may come from being associated with someone that has been in government or the community or whatnot, or they see the need of the community, or because they themselves have gone through some difficult times growing up, and they want to make a difference on the next generation. And so a lot of the students, both on the Greenspan College Public Policy and also in the Lee Business School, as a matter of fact, I just finished a workshop the other day, and you can take a look at it. It's on LinkedIn, which this is awesome. And just to see the students and the questions that they ask, I think is the most significant aspect of this, Elias, because that gives you an inside look into what they're looking for. And I love that space, right? Because that gives us an opportunity as leaders to say, how can I influence change? How can I guide them and give them a new view and that trajectory, and be kind of like on the sidelines at the same time. As a coach, I'm also an accountability partner.
Yeah.
So I'm there to hold them accountable along the way. And if they get a little derail, I go, no, let's move in this direction. But their vision for the future is fantastic. All we want to do is how can myself as a coach and the rest of us as leaders can help them remove some of the roadblocks and the barriers to get them there.
And what are some of those common roadblocks and barriers you're seeing amongst your students?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is fear.
Yeah.
Fear of the unknown, fear that they're not capable enough, and they don't have the skills or the talent or the knowledge or the expertise. And that is something that you acquire as you go through life. And you can attest to that as well. You and I had some conversations in the past. And so how do we remove that fear, and mostly fear, believe it or not? The fear inside of us is nothing but the desire that exists to do something greater, right? And so when you feed your fears, you starve your dreams.
When you feed your fears, you starve your dreams. That is really, really good one.
Yeah, it's interesting about that. I was speaking at the business school, as a matter of fact. I was invited as a guest speaker at the business school in a communications class. And a student asked me, Mr. Rivera, but I fear that I will not succeed. And I said to him, he goes, well, a couple of things. When you feed your fears, you starve your dreams.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I said, but what if you succeed? See, we feed the fear instead of feeding the courage to move forward.
Yeah.
And so that was impactful to the point that I actually wrote an article titled, When You Feed Your Fears, You Starve Your Dreams.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. And let's talk, that reminds me of a story of an entrepreneur I was talking to a while ago. Okay. And, he talked about some of the challenges he was facing in the face of bankruptcy, or in the face of, losing all of his assets and going bankrupt and deciding if this is the thing and really worrying over it for a while. And when we talked, I said, well, what's the opposite of that? What's the opposite of bankruptcy? Well, I guess the opposite of, if I get through this, it'd be to be owning the multiple properties I'm involved with. It's to be able to continue supporting my businesses. Like, okay, well, can we focus on that now? Can we, if that's the dream you want, let's put the energy there instead of the energy in bankruptcy. And now, that conversation was less than a few months ago, and neither extremes have been accomplished.
All right.
But do you have something to say there? I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, was I in the right direction to, try to point us into dreaming bigger?
And, being in the right direction is just, what is your intention with that individual? What is it that you're meaning to say? Is your intention to be helpful? Is your intention to provide some guidance and mentorship? If the intention is good, the potential, the impact will be good as well.
Yeah.
Is there willingness to listen to your advice? And so that's something that we have to work with them consistently.
Right.
It doesn't just take one moment, but when your mind envisions the destination, we have the responsibility to show them the path to get them there.
Okay.
And so he's focusing on the things that are not working, but I love your approach. But what if, let's take a look at the other side of that, which is, what if you can accomplish this? And so what happens is, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, we get into that space of the negativity.
Yeah.
You know, what doesn't work, instead of focusing and say, okay, I know that I'm here right now and these things are not working. So pause for a moment and say to yourself, okay, what is it that is not working, and is there a different approach that I should take, or who do I need to talk to?
Yeah.
Who do I need to partner myself with? Because it's that circle of friends, circle of influence, and circle of trust
Oh,
that
definitely.
you surround yourself with that is going to move you forward and help you remove some of those barriers. But the biggest barrier exists right here in that space.
Yeah, I think you brought up a lot of points in there that we can actually pull a thread on. And since you're studying psychology, I love to pull on that thread, if that's okay. And you mentioned the negativity, right? The negativity mindset, and really just kind of sitting in that verse, also with the people who are around you,
Yes.
versus the other things that you could think about. So could you fill in the blanks of some of the
Sure.
psychology science?
Yeah, and the interesting part is I love my family, I love my friends,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, a lot of them, although well-intended, they come with judgment. And what happens is we grow up in certain environments where we tend to begin to believe that we can only do so much and we might not be able to achieve as much.
Right.
Because we're not our parents, we're not our grandparents. And that was their reality, but you have to look at life, living, loving, and learning from a wider lens. And when people say to you, I don't know that you're going to be able to achieve that. And the reason I went into study psychology is because I had that experience growing up. There was a member of my family who kept saying to me that I was not good enough, that I'll never amount to anything, and that if I ever walk out the door, I don't ever come back.
Yeah.
And rather than feeling sorry for myself or going to a dark place in my life, I realized I need to understand why people behave the way they behave and why people do the things they do. And the reality is that is that person's experience, but not my desire.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to achieve. So I became very focused on understanding who I am, whose I am, and where I was going. And then start bringing clarity into your destiny, into your future. And every time you find yourself in that space where negativity tends to kick in and those negative thoughts begin to come into your mind, pause, go for a walk. I had this thing, because I was there so many times. I will not share with you or mentor or coach anyone on things that I myself either have not experienced or have done myself. And so I used to just find a restroom and I will sit there for 10, 15 minutes, whatever time I had allotted at the time, just to center myself and not allow the negativity, but I'll go, what am I learning from this moment? What is it that I have an opportunity here to look at this from a different lens?
Yeah.
Right? And that kind of became kind of like the catalyst for me to continue moving forward. And I'm able to utilize the same thing with my clients and the students. And they begin to see things from a different lens.
Yeah.
And if you're able to show them the difference, the impact in their careers and their lives is significant.
Absolutely. So you mentioned taking that break in the restroom to
Yes.
recenter, right?
Recenter.
And what makes me think about is the habit, action, behavior loop, right? Or
Absolutely.
Something happens, you get a trigger, and then because of that trigger, you have your action you take. So taking the negative thoughts example,
Absolutely,
something creates a negative thought trigger. And maybe for somebody it could be spiral, emotional, cry, yell, fight.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying right now is whatever it was, don't do that. Go somewhere and recenter for 15 minutes.
Don't become reactive, become proactive. And that proactive mindset is something that you have to continue doing. It's a learned skill.
Yeah.
It's a habit. It's like any other habit, right? We have certain habits. For example, you get up in the morning, you have a routine. When you come here, you drive, you take almost usually the same route, right? If it's open, right? But that's the moment that you say, okay, today I'm just going to go for a walk. I'm dealing with this situation. I need to clear my mind. I need to clear my soul, my spirit. Go for a walk. Take a walk. Simple as taking 3 deep breaths, right? Recenter myself. I can tackle this.
Yeah.
I have the capabilities. I have the knowledge. or I know who I can contact that can assist me to clarify for understanding. I'm very good at what I do. I'm just not very good at everything. I have a lot of knowledge. I don't have all the knowledge. And when I get to that point, then I reach out to individuals like yourself. Hey, listen, I'm in this quandary. I'm in this moment of, I need some clarity and some guidance. Do you have a few minutes
Right.
that I can talk to you? So contact someone that you trust.
Yeah.
In that circle of trust, that you know that that conversation is going to stay there, and they might be able to bring some clarity
Yep.
into the situation so you can move forward. Because we tend to stay in that negative space.
Right.
And it doesn't move us forward.
Right.
I see what I call when you get stuck in our story.
Yeah. Getting stuck in your story, okay, getting stuck in your story of the pain, right?
Yeah.
And then talking to the wrong person, calling the wrong person will keep that person stuck in pain.
And sad people like to make people sad.
Yeah.
Lonely people want to make people lonely because, that old saying, misery loves company, right? And so find yourself individuals. That's why you have circle of friends, influence, and trust.
Yeah.
When you get to the trust circle, that number gets a little smaller, right? And so those are the individuals that you know that I can have confidence, say, hey, Elias, do you have time for coffee?
Right.
And you say, yeah, absolutely. I really need to run some things by you.
Yeah.
I'm a little conflicted. I'm a little what I call emotionally congested. We get emotionally congested because we let our emotions
Right.
take over the situation instead of pausing, take a walk, take a little break, listen to some music. Sometimes as simple as just stepping outside and look up at the sky and just take a few breaths and say, I need to center myself. I need to clear my mind. I might need some assistance. So, Elias, do you have a few minutes? And then you just have a conversation. Someone that will listen to you. And sometimes just by talking,
Yep.
you release a lot of that anxiety and fear. And then sometimes you even find the answer that you've been looking for, because I believe that it's always there.
Yep.
But we get so emotionally congested that we block it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you realize it wasn't Elias who gave me the answer. I gave myself the answers. I just needed someone to have that conversation with.
Yeah. Yeah. And that space without judgment,
Yeah.
knowing that
That's safe
you'd
space,
be-
yeah. Absolutely.
So, in your own graduate studies, do you have do you have any topics that you are writing about, doing research on that you can talk about?
Yeah, I actually have a couple articles. I rewrote an article titled, For Such a Time as This, We Are Called to Be Architects of a Better Future.
Great.
And it's a powerful, powerful thing. I think that in today's current environment that we're facing, politically,
Right.
financially, spiritually, emotionally, in every aspect of our life, I think it's imperative that we pause and we begin to see things from a different lens. And what is the part that I play, right, in reconstructing, in becoming an architect of a better future?
Yeah.
And not only do it for us that we're sitting here right now. Today, you and I are sitting here. Few years from now, because we're talking about the future, right, 2026 and beyond, there'll be other people sitting here.
Yeah.
What is it that we're living behind? What are some of the things that we're doing out in the community or that we're impacting others so that it will continue? Right now, that's my goal, is what is my legacy? How do I want to be remembered? I want to be remembered by the work. So this is not about me, it's about pouring into others. I think that's an imperative. Also, I'm in the process of finalizing another article titled Before I Go.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting. Before I Go, Reflections on Life Impermanence.
Okay. Life and permanence. Say more about the permanence part.
Impermanence.
Oh, impermanence.
Impermanence.
Oh, okay. So the fact that we are all going to die.
Well, I think that we're here for a moment.
Yeah.
Right? We are born, we live, and we transition. I'm not going to call it death, because I think is we transition to a different place. I'm a believer. And my belief system tells me that I know who I am, what I am, and I know where I'm going. I know that who I am as an individual today, took a little time to get here, whose I am, I'm a child of God.
Yep.
And I acknowledge that because that's my belief system. I'm not trying to influence anyone else's belief system, but you have your own belief system. And where I'm going is, I'm going to be one day with my Father in heaven. And so with that, I call the trifecta, it just sets in motion a different way of thinking, a different way of looking at your decisions, the next step. And when I wrote this article about life impermanence, it was not saying, I am dying. I think that life is going to take care of that by itself. It's about what is the part that I'm playing
Yeah.
before I go, right? And so before I go, it's a reflecting on that life is finite, and one day will not be here. How can I use this time to influence change? How can I use this time to mentor, to guide, to provide, to pour into others out of the learning and skills and knowledge and talents and expertise that I have acquired, and just to pour into others. And so by doing so, you know that it continues, right?
Yeah, and so are there any, I think those are both incredible articles. I'm going to go look up the first one.
Once I publish them,
Okay, good. So
I'll send you a copy right away.
Great, thank you. So we're getting to hear about it before it's even published.
Yeah, it's not
That's
even
exciting.
published yet.
Are there any psychologists that you take a lot of lessons from, or that are interesting to you?
You know, Viktor Frankl, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he wrote this amazing book, Man's Search for Purpose, I believe. And don't quote me that. For meaning, Man's Search for Meaning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Search for Meaning. Great influence in my work, and there's been so many others. You know, as you study psychology, you want to do a lot of research, and I've done a lot of research. And so there's not one specific one, because I believe that every one of them brings something
Absolutely.
to that space, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be open and receptive, although there might be some others that I may not agree. Keep in mind that they have written, or they've been out there 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, probably beyond that.
Right.
But what's fascinating is about behavior is it's our humanity, and that is constant. There's a constant in there. But you find great influencers in your life. So my guidance is, as I'm looking behind us, all the books, this is the knowledge that we acquire. You can pick up a book and say, you know, this is impactful, and there's something there that really impacted me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use it. I'm going to give you an example. He's not a psychologist, but there's a gentleman by the name of Randy Pausch. Randy Pausch wrote a book titled The Last Lecture.
Okay.
And he gave the last lecture at Carnegie Mellon University, where he was a professor, to an entire audience of faculty members, students, and staff members. His wife is sitting in the audience. And Randy just did this amazing presentation, also titled The Last Lecture. What's really interesting about that is that when he was giving the lecture, he was already told by the doctors he only had 6 months to live.
Oh, wow.
He had pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
And he chose to write this book, and he chose to do this lecture. But he said something during his lecture that has resonated with me, which I share with students all the time. When we're connected to others, we become better people.
Definitely.
And in that space of always connecting to others, not every person coming to your life is there to stay.
Right.
People come into your life for a season, a reason, a lesson, or a learning, or a lifetime. And so those that move on, they were only supposed to be there for that period of time.
Yeah.
But when we're connected to others, we grow, we expand.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, always look for and search for knowledge. Don't get tied to a specific individual, but the knowledge and that they share.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so,
Absolutely.
but in psychology, it's a wide range of individuals.
Definitely, yeah. And there's that body of positive psychology work that has really emerged over the past 50 years. That's been really interesting to me too.
And my focus is behavioral psychology, so I love the
that.
behavioral side of it.
And so it looks like you're exploring not just individual behavior. That's been explored a lot, and that's shows up in your coaching, right? So helping individuals kind of rewire their thoughts, their actions, coach them to be able to accomplish great work.
Absolutely.
And then there's that individualistic piece. But then as you're talking about in your life impermanence work or in the last lecture, there's now this behavior that we take where our behavior affects one another, but also creates this domino effect for the next generation.
Yeah, it was fascinating. You alluded to the fact that I was here, I think last year, and we did a workshop, and it appears to be very impactful. I sometimes I go into these workshops and do and say things, and if you ask me, Eddie, what was, I have no idea. Like, I was in the moment. I get in that moment. But I remember a young lady that was standing in the circle, and she wanted to say something, and I said to her, find your voice. and then help others find their voice. And from that moving forward today, she is just thriving.
Great.
Because she needed that moment. I challenged herself to find her voice. There was another gentleman that came to me and goes, listen, I don't know how old he is, in his 70s. He says,
I remember that moment too. Yeah.
you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah. He said he was like, we had that incredible podcast, right? There are literally people crying in the audience in terms of how touched folks were. And then this gentleman, one of our entrepreneurs, comes up. He says, "Hey, Eddie, I'm 70 years old. I'm older than you, but I need to sign up for your coaching." And you've had a couple of calls with him. I had some calls with him, and he said, it was so transformative. Eddie went deep into my body of knowledge. He's been holding me accountable to write these articles and all this. That was kind of what I remember from that.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we have those two individuals. So we have this young lady. I think she was probably, I'm guesstimating, late 20s.
Okay.
Could be early 30s. And then you have this gentleman in his 70s. So when you see the spectrum there, that no matter where you're at, we're all searching for the same thing: happiness, and joy, and fulfillment, and this desire to be better, and to be significant, and to make a greater contribution to ourselves and to others. It starts with you.
Absolutely.
Work in you so you can pour into others.
Yep. And I wish everyone had that mindset, but that's not true. Especially in the sense of everybody has this pursuit of wanting to be better for themselves, right? To an extent.
Sure,
well,
yeah.
maybe not everybody, but
Yeah.
I would say that's a broader bucket than the bucket of to do better for themselves in order to do better for others, right? Because there's a bucket, I think, where folks are kind of doing better for themselves, but at the expense of others.
Yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of conversations I have with students and the range is broad. I mean, it doesn't matter who I talk to. And I have clients and students from early teenagers all the way to triple numbers. I would say.
Oh yeah, triple numbers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because I'm 150 years old. I say, yeah, so am I. But every single one of them, when you take a look and we do research, and we look at the desires the same, the wants are the same, but also their fear is the same. Fear of the greatest fear of success.
Yeah,
it's not fear of failure. What if I get there, and how do I handle it?
Yeah.
Right. But those feelings and emotions is a significant view of our humanity. That we're all individuals, that we're all human, and we have changes, and we go through changes, and we face challenges. But there's great power on knowing that you have the power to choose differently.
Yeah.
So maybe today, if you're out there and you're struggling and you're holding back and you're fearful and you don't think that you're good enough, that's something that I hear all the time in that whole range of students or clients.
Yeah.
I don't think that I'm good enough. And so I share with them my story. I don't share my story because I want to impress you. I'm sharing my story because I want to impress in you and on you that possibilities are there and that you have the potential to achieve more than you're giving yourself credit to.
Absolutely.
And so it's a beautiful space to be at. But we're all face the same challenges. And so out of your greatest challenge, you can discover your greatest talent.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, a lot of folks find ways to transform their pain into purpose, and that gives them a whole life journey.
You know what's really interesting here, that's really funny, is the fact that when I wrote that quote, out of the greatest challenge, you can discover your greatest talent, is my greatest challenge is that English is a second language.
Right. And here you are podcasting.
I make a living talking to people.
Right.
I make a living teaching at the university. That's the beauty of it, right?
Definitely.
So when you have a challenge, can I turn that into my greatest talent? And so when you look at it that way, and one day I came to that realization. There was a lady that came here earlier, and she goes, does anyone speak Spanish? And immediately I went, sure, and I had a brief conversation with her. But the fact that she says, but I'm still learning, that's the power. That you recognize that you have a challenge, but that you're moving forward.
Absolutely, yeah.
And who knows, she might become one of the greatest writers in the future.
I love that. Let's, Eddie, especially since it's the topic psychology, it's one of those conversations I could talk on for a long time.
Yeah.
But I know we've got more guests, and Stephen also has an interview coming up with you
Okay,
here.
very good.
But before I transition us over, I just want to open up the floor to the room. Welcome everybody who came down to the Proba Startups Conference. Thank you guys for coming. Does anybody want to say any questions to Eddie before we pass the mic over to Stephen?
How would you work with folks, entrepreneurs like us, to make sure that we're really setting audacious goals as opposed to safe goals?
Yeah, and so if your goals are not big enough, they won't challenge you. And so I love when you said audacious goals. And it's about sitting down and saying, what is it that you want to achieve? What is the goal? What is your dream? And I work with you and said, okay, let's focus on that goal. And I work together to create a plan to get you there. And it's not going to be just me getting you there. It's here's some of the individuals that I suggest that you have conversation with, because what they're going to do is they're going to continue moving you forward. But challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to a really high goal. And not have just one. You can have 2 or 3 goals. But then focus on small goals. One that you can achieve. I always say to my clients, listen, let's set up 3 goals. Going to a short-term goal, a medium goal, and a long-term goal. So the short-term goal between 30 and 90 days.
Great.
Something that you want to achieve between 30 and 90 days, and focus on that one. And there you go, Mr. Rivera, guess what? Got it, did it. Let's celebrate that, because you know that you can do this, right? Now when you get to the medium goal, you go, I already have the preparation. I'm ready to go. Let's make that happen. What's really interesting, that medium goal is between 90 and 6 months. 6 months is just a target date. Let's say you did it in 7 months, but you did it. It's working through that goal to get it to achieve it. It might take a little longer. People we tend to hang on to that date of the goal, not realizing it's the work that you do along the way that really matters. Because you don't control variables. You don't control that somebody's supposed to have a conversation with, have a meeting with, and that person is not available.
Right.
That's not on you. What you do is you call that person, you email that person, hey, John, I know that we didn't get a chance to get together. Do you have another time? He says, listen, I'm traveling, but I won't be here until next month. Not a problem. Let's find a date. You see, so it didn't meet the deadline, but you're still moving forward. And then you go into the long-term goal. See, for me, it's different. For my long-term goal is just continue learning. That's my long-term goal. I do this process with my clients called the power of I am.
Yeah.
And I think I did it here last time I was here. So it's about finding that word that represents everything about you, the essence of you, the greatness of you, right? And there you go, I am, and mine is, I am unfinished. I'm still learning, I'm still going strong. I'm a couple of years older than some of you folks here, but my driver's license says that I'm gonna be 70 years old. Or here, I'm 35. So I continue moving forward. So set a small goal, a medium goal, and a long-term goal. Focus on the short term first and give it all you got. Be the best you can be. And when you achieve that, let's celebrate it. I will celebrate with you.
Great.
So you can move forward. Did that answer your question?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
Great question. Thank you. Any other questions? Well, we'll have so many amazing conversations. Eddie, thank you so much. Thank you for coming down to Nevada Partners and our incubator. And I think I'll just ask you one last question.
Sure, go ahead.
2026 is around the corner. You said you're unfinished. What are some things that you're excited about in 2026?
I'm excited about 2026 because I get to continue doing what I'm doing, which always celebrate that. I get to continue doing what I'm doing. That means that what I'm doing, I did in the past, is significant, it's important, it's impactful. The fact that the university says we want to continue working with you in 2026, celebrate that. I'm celebrating that big time, right? They asked me to teach again next year, and so I get to do that. And also they asked me to the possibility of rewriting another course.
Great.
And I love doing that. So most of all, that I'm still surrounded by amazing individuals and that I can still contribute. And the fact that I'm sitting here today, and this is, I don't know, I've been here several times and I love coming here. Whenever you want to invite me, you know, I'm there for you. And I'm there for all of you as well. So I'm excited about a year of possibilities. I'm excited about a year that represents more than what's happening around us. Always remember that the fire in you is brighter than the fire around you and outside of you. And if you very focus on that, and that's I'm looking at 2026 as a year of possibilities.
Great. Great. Well, we'll leave it at that. Eddie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Elias.
Folks, we have a couple more interviews coming up, and then we have a coding boot camp happening around lunchtime. All right, Stephen, let's sign out of here.